Hi, I'm Janie with the League-Kempner House in Galveston, and today I am out here raking the ruts out of our entry here to the house. We just did all that roofing work, and that big boom coming through here left big, deep ruts. We knew that would happen. That's what broke our sidewalk the first time around a few years ago. We had to take it out for safety reasons. We haven't put anything back. We got an estimate. It would probably be 20,000 or more to replace all this and do our sidewalks around the side. So that's not happening, but we do have a lot of scrap brick and a lot of volunteers. So when it's a little cooler, we'll finish taking some of this out and brick a path going forward. But until then, I just want to make it a little safer and get some of those ruts out. So not what I thought I'd do today, but it just occurred to me as I was putting our open sign out that I needed to get this fixed. And I wish it had rained a little bit because it's really hard right now. But we are expecting rain from Hurricane Beryl. We're on the wet side. I don't think it's going to come anywhere close to us, but I want to get this done, and the rain can then kind of smooth the rest of it out. So just a little chore. Let me interrupt our program here and talk just a second about hurricanes. I would never take a hurricane lightly. They are devastating. I'm old. I've been through a lot of them, so I've suffered that devastation myself personally, but there's nothing you can do about them. They will come when they will come. So the best you can do is be prepared and keep an eye out. And at the time I was out here raking in the yard, this is the projected path of Beryl, somewhere down in Mexico. So Walter and I are here giving tours today, but I cleared out my space again and brought the shutter up to work on. And this one has that split in it, and somebody has put some little bolts through here and a screw. I'm taking those out because I did get this clamp and put on there, and when I squeeze this crack closed. So what I need to do is actually take the bolts out, pry it open, get some of our exterior glue in there, and get it clamped up to restore the integrity there, because it's right where the hinge is, which means that hinge would not be tight. So I'm going to do that and set this one aside for a while. Every day they update Beryl's path, and this one changed over and over and over again. Within just a couple of days, it was now projected to come up and hit right at the border of Texas and Mexico. Okay, pardon the ratty yard. I need to weed over here, and the yard guy hasn't mowed yet, but I am walking around the house doing a hurricane sweep, looking for anything that could blow and break our new windows since our shutters aren't up yet. It's relatively protected over here. We've got the bamboo wall, the apartment's blocking the wind, but it's blowing objects that are the problem. I probably will come cut some more of this palm fronds down so they don't blow into the window. I might need to come rake some of that shingle mess that's still there. That upside down. It's pretty good over here. We're not going to have that high winds. I'm too worried about it. Chair back a little further. So hurricanes come in many sizes and many forms, and they all do different types of damage. We could spend several videos just talking about that. But basically you can get a falling rain, you can get tidal surges and flooding water that way, and you can get wind damage. So at this point, we're projected to be way far away from the hurricane, but we might get some gusty wind. And the thing you want to do is pick anything up that's loose that could be picked up by that wind and fly around and hurt someone or some building. And I think it's interesting that at the time you're seeing this, not when it was filmed, but here in September, it's just a week after the great storm of 1900 in Galveston that did so much destruction. That was the case of very high winds, a lot of rain, and a huge tidal surge before the island was protected by a seawall. And this house was built in 1893, so it is a 1900 storm survivor. At this point, we're thinking no big deal with this hurricane, so I've got the yard picked up. I'm going to get back to working on the shutters. Sometimes undoing someone else's poorly done repair can be the hardest part of a job. In this case, they had put these little bolts and nuts through, but fortunately they didn't glue it. So once I was able to get the bolts out, then I could glue it up properly and get it clamped tight. And you can see once I get the bolts out, I'm actually using that screwdriver to force down in the crack, twist it, and pry it open, because I need that glue to go all the way down in that crack and cover both sides of the wood completely, or this repair won't have any strength. And then just a day later, it had taken a sharp turn and was projected to come up and hit around Corpus Christi. So Beryl did hit Houston pretty hard, and Galveston got a lot of wind damage. We posted a video more real time, season 4, episode 31, showing what happened to the house and our immediate response to that. So now I'm going to jump to the aftermath. So we spent Monday night in the dark up in Houston, but miraculously, late Monday night, the power came on in a small section of Galveston that happened to encompass the Lucas apartments. So my daughter and son-in-law desperately needed to work remotely, so they jumped in the car with me and headed down to Galveston to stay down there. My husband had to stay back in Houston. We had too much damage at our properties there he needed to take care of, and Joe and her family joined us. Unfortunately, they had COVID, so they were all quarantined on the ground floor, but I guess I had been exposed to Joe earlier before Beryl, and I came down with COVID. So Joe and I spent almost 2 weeks laid up doing nothing. We finally recovered and ventured out, and when I did, I was heartbroken to see at the Trube Castle, which is just catty-cornered behind us, that it had lost large sections of its incredible scalloped slate roof. It was just laying on the ground. Joe and I are back for the first time since the hurricane. We just got the front door opened, and I noticed there's little pieces of trim down. Came from way up there, so I'll have to go save that. Another little piece of trim. This is a window that was up in the 3rd floor, and it really bums me out because I so very carefully faux painted the plywood in the other one to match this one, and now this is what it looks like. So it's gone. I'm going to have to go up there and try to block that off. I saved the pieces because I didn't know if I could rebuild it or not. I seem to be missing a key piece. But then this strange curved one came off, and I did find where that went. Yeah, it's like hand chiseled on this side. It goes up underneath the eaves up around that upper porch up there. So I don't know how I'm going to get that back. But everything we find in the yard, I've been saving. And then Joe just pointed out that one of our shutters actually broke off and got some damage up there, which is pretty scary. The wind must have caught it. Unfortunately, it didn't break our window. And I'm just not in the mood. I'm still too sick, too screwed up to deal with that. You can see if that's the pin. It's not a very deep one. The hinge is rusty. Offhand, I don't see anything else, but I guess we'll have to take some time and make a slower pass around the house and see what else might have happened. We're gonna have to rehang that shutter, so it's broken on top.
Yeah, I picked up all the shutter slats.
What did you do? Those are COVID voices. These are our COVID voices.
I picked up the shutter slats and put them on the kitchen table, and there's a rod that's too big for a hinge pin, but I don't know.
I'll go see what that is. Okay. We're a mess. Ooh. Oh, that's the bale. Oh, no, this. All right. Well, that's a new one. Oh. Okay, that's got a hole and a pin through it. I'm gonna take that outside and walk around because that's curious to me. Where did you find this exactly?
They were.
No, the pin thing.
I couldn't find them in this corner.
In that corner.
In that corner.
Oh. It's a slide. Easy. Easy peasy. Don't bother sweeping, it'll just kick up dust, but I've got to get this unscrewed and out of here because somebody will come through and trip on that. Or maybe I can move the whole thing to the front porch for right now and get it out of here.
And you can look at it out there.
Yeah, I'm going to take it outside.
Well, did you hear the part where I said I'll help you?
No.
I am just going on record once again as saying I said I will help you carry it outside, and instead she handed me the camera.
I think I'm finished for today.
That's it, I'm done.
That's it, I'm done.
I'm ready to go home.
Pat and I are taking turns at 5-minute intervals picking up all the little debris because the yard guy can't come in and mow with the hard stuff down. It'll mess up his lawnmower. There she is. She's getting her steps in for today. But it's okay as long as you're in the shade, but boy, in the sun, it's brutal right now. But as always, Pat's got a smile on her face, sort of. Sort of.
You like wearing a dress when you're bending over.
I didn't get that part.
Good.
Okay, so this has been sitting way longer than intended because of Beryl, but it should be certainly dry by now. So I'm just going to take my clamps off. Again, remember what Ben said, glue by itself doesn't do anything. You have to clamp really tight. But it was important that we glue this up because that crack ran right through the center of where the screws hold the hinge on. So this would not have any strength to hold those hinges. So there's still one screw in there that I haven't been able to get out. I may just leave it and saw that off, not to damage the wood anymore. But this should be good. I did notice a couple more markings besides the one I showed you before. Down here it's stamped 39 or 30 and stamped again. I don't know what that's about. And as always, I've got all the hinges off except one lone screw that I can't get. This is what those screws look like in there. So I need to cut that slot out better and get that. But I'm going to put this guy back up on the sawhorses and give it a once over and see if there's anything else that needs to be glued up. If I have the strength. Joe and I are still puny from COVID, so let's see. The best way to get it. Oh, there it is. So it does have this area down here, which is more superficial, not structural, but I may just put a little glue and glue that down anyway. But otherwise, I think this one is good. So I'll glue that, set it aside. Unfortunately, I really don't think I have the strength to carry one up from the basement today. Maybe one little glue up here. So that may be as far as I get today on this project. Long story for another. Okay. Joe's coughing so much we can't film. Usually it's me. But anyway, long story in another video where these new hinges came from, but I want to show you up close. Come look at the pin length. Look at the little pin here versus the pin in the new one. And then this is very corroded. And I wondered at first if this was all the pin there was. But I went up and looked up on the second story at a place where the hinges are gone. And the original pin actually was as high as this. So that pin has sheared off. So this will have to get new hinges. And on these, I can feel the pin stuck up in there with this. So I'm gonna have to take this down. The question is, do I do it today or not? Right now, I don't think it's going anywhere. I may just leave it until I can get a ladder and get up there. But we did have a little more damage. Oops, don't pull on that. A little more damage than we thought we did, but all in all, not bad. This is one I've never been able to open because it was still screwed in and I couldn't get the screw out, and the wind actually ripped the screw out of the wood. So at least it's now open, if not heavily damaged. But the windows behind them aren't damaged, so that's the good news. So we'll be getting into all of this repair work. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it now because I am going to go back and do some work on the front doors. One of our viewers, Catherine, had a great suggestion for an alternative way to close the door. So I'm going to go round up some tools and see if I can do that today. I ended up not getting to that work this day. I was taking a really long time recovering from COVID. It really knocked the wind out of me, and Joe had a much worse time than I did. So we were moving very slow and decided to just go home. There were also some distractions as usual. We get sidetracked, the biggest of which were these babies coming back on the property, and we will pick up with that in the next video. There is still a lot going on with the roofing work on this house. We were lucky all the shingles were on. We didn't have any big leaks, but we are far from finished with that project. So be sure and subscribe and turn on your notifications. We will be back to get started on that work. We are the League-Kempner House in Galveston, Texas. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.